Hey,
What
hey,
is up,
What's
everybody?
up, everybody? Happy Thursday.
Good morning. Good morning.
Coffee and
Convo.
Convo.
So,
Join us.
Today, yes, join us.
Yeah.
Today we are going to talk about the apostolic. We are going to talk about giving yourself to your mountain and cultural impact. This month we've really been focusing on being an influencer in culture, what that looks like. Last month we talked kind of about just individual process and journey, becoming who you are, stepping into new openings and things like that. And I think next month we are going to break into family relationships, parenting.
So stay tuned.
Focus on that.
Stay tuned.
But
Join us.
But cheers,
But
babe.
cheers. It is spring, so I felt like color and stuff, but it's a hug your mug kind of day today. Here in California, it's overcast, cloudy, and I was happy to pull out my cardigan.
Yes, that's a little
and
extreme.
be like,
That is a little
warm and
extreme.
comfy.
It's not that cold.
But I do love the warm weather. Love it.
But here's to you guys today.
Yes.
Cheers. May you be prospering and thriving.
Yes.
All that Father has called you to. My
Of
mug's
course,
a
all
little
the
more-
things, say hi to us. Let us know where you're watching from.
Yes.
And if you have any questions, comments, all the things, please join us. Join us.
Yes. And if you're commenting live, we don't always see it, but we respond
But
later.
we will, yes. Absolutely.
I can't read, still can't read that far.
Well, and it's a little bit further,
farther,
but yes, join us in our
Yes, thank you
conversation.
for joining. So, boom.
Yes.
Let's
Apostolic, baby.
cultural impact,
Mountain.
all that good stuff. Giving yourself to your
Yes.
mountain. Of course,
Which we love.
we definitely love.
Yes.
That's what we are
Making
all about, right?
impact,
And
having
how-
impact, Yes.
You know, it's okay to give yourself to the mountain or mountains of cultural influence that you feel called to. That it's not a distraction, but that's actually,
Right.
you know, pleasing the Father. That's where He's leading you, wherever that is, right? And, you know, I won't get into, we won't talk about the 7 mountains of cultural influence or kind of the foundations that shape culture, but, you know, each person finds themselves expressing, called to, impacting one or more of these areas.
Right.
And it's not that a specific area, you know, for a long time the church felt like it was only in the church expression that people could actually have a calling from God, right?
Right.
And the last few years or last number of years, more and more the message is getting out and understanding is getting out, and Father has been leading His people, you know, into, hey, the earth is mine. You know, I'm living life with you, and you are my representative here on earth in all of culture. And so find where you are positioned, where Father has put you, where He's leading you, and all that good stuff. But
yeah, so then when you talk about the apostolic, then though, so what does that look like? Like, having always been in a church culture, having grown up in that and known a lot about that, when I hear the apostolic and even the prophetic, I have a certain picture of what that looks like. But so what is your, not a definition, but like, what can that look like in each mountain, even in the church? But like, if you're called to business, what does it look like being that, or government, or whatever? You know? What does that look like, or how can that look like?
So, for me, starting with you have the mountain of religion, right? Which means any culture that's kind of who or what is going to be worshipped and valued as God. Yeah. So that's a mountain of religion. But when you break it down then into people who are part of the kingdom or kingdom citizens, it becomes the church mountain. Right? Because in culture, it's the religion mountain, because you're impacting, hopefully showing the goodness of Father God
Yes.
and His heart
Yes.
to the world around you, so that they
Right.
can know, hey, this is who we serve and love and are loved by. But when you say, okay, these are people already part of the kingdom, they're kingdom citizens, and therefore this becomes the church mountain, and the apostle, the gift of the apostle within that is equipping saints, right?
Yes.
Because within the church mountain, it's the fivefold ministry, but it's equipping saints. It's equipping the ecclesia, the expression to go out and impact the world, work with kingdom.
Yeah.
So in light of that, when we say, what is my definition of the apostolic in the mountains, there's been kind of this awakened understanding. Again, this isn't anything new on the apostolic.
Right. Sure.
And the legitimacy of that and how that impacts believers, impacts the church as in the ecclesia. And it's had certain definitions, but to me, it was seen as planting churches, as in sending, and that's part of it. That's all sending.
Right, for sure.
But when you go back and you research the term, the apostle, apostolos, when Jesus even called his apostles, is it in a time where that was a secular term,
right.
And it was a general or an admiral of the navy or a governor who was sent out from the city, the homeland, into new territory. And when they went into that territory, they would bring the way of life, the expression of the homeland, the culture of that homeland, and establish it. And what the Greeks, I think it was, who brought the term out, and then the Romans really used it. They were finding that they would go and set up new establishments, new towns, new cities, or and when they would leave, the people of that land would go back to a different, their way of life, and it wouldn't look like home. And so they said, hey, we need to send these apostles, these governors, these
to make it look like
ambassadors, or if the admiral sense, they would take their group of specialized forces, land, and set up I'm drawing a blank. It's not a community, but anyway.
The systems and the
colonization, a colony.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. A colony that would look like the city they came from. And so that's the biggest thing. When I look at the apostolic, it's like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
Some factors for me, there's that pioneering, there's the expanding, and then there's the building.
The building.
All right, and I think that's
making
definitely
it into something. Yeah.
A key that we need to press into in this time as we look at cultural influence and impact is it's building, right? It's bringing solutions. It's not. It's not just opposing.
Right.
But it's saying, hey, let me build into something better. Let me bring hope. Let me bring new life. Let me bring, and again, that whole term was very, very focused on the culture they were coming from and bringing that culture.
Yeah.
So to me, the apostolic is really about they're focused on culture, the culture of heaven, the throne room of the Father, of the kingdom, and bringing it to earth, manifesting, showing it.
Which I really love, because as you're talking, then I can see that anywhere. You know what I mean? I can see that, the kingdom as it is in heaven being that representative, you can make something look like heaven.
Yeah.
And so whether it's through a solution or an idea but that can be anywhere. Like, what I'm thinking of is even like an apostolic generation that really goes in and impacts by what they are bringing. and what they carry, and to make all of those things, government, business, family, all those things, make it look like heaven.
Right.
And make it look like kingdom.
So of course, for me,
really cool.
this subject today being kind of the church mountain, like our desire and especially mine, is to empower and champion people with the apostolic grace, with understanding or having a value for cultural shift and impact. Right? And so if we're saying the church mountain is the equipping of saints for the work of ministry, administrating the kingdom, out there impacting the world for good, then for me to equip saints with a value for cultural transformation.
Right.
And so, I want to empower you as an individual to press into to value his culture, press into see what is the culture, what is the heart of Father, what is the heart of the kingdom, what is the heart of heaven that needs to be released, and then turn around and how am I going to build, so my external expression as the ecclesia in the earth, not just as an individual in your relationship with and to Father, but now your external expression to the world, because that needs to look like something, build something. Then I'm saying, hey, how are you going to take and transform culture? How are you going to build something out there? What is that going to look like that's going to
and also, I think when I hear building, I'm more the I see it, I can see it, feel it, touch it, the vision, the idea, all of that. But the building, getting your hands dirty and sticking with it, and those things don't necessarily spark excitement in me. But when I hear that building, I think that's something we really need to really see change, to really see impact, because that takes time. It takes effort, it takes work, it takes sticking to it, it takes all those things. And I think sometimes maybe we don't see certain things yet, because what you said, giving yourself to it, how do you see that? Or
because I still, from listening to what people are talking and saying as they look at this kingdom message and people transition, it's still sometimes the struggle of, I feel like there's this expression, this kingdom expression inside of me, or Father's leading me to this, but I'm not, is this actually a distraction? Should I actually be over here? Is there a better call? Am I off chasing, if you're called to build in the business mountain, am I off chasing riches instead of Father? Is my heart being torn away? Or, if you're in arts and entertainment, am I chasing fame and recognition over Father and living in this stuck world of being double-minded, actually? And so
I mean, that's real,
because you self-sabotage anything.
I've been there,
So, I want to encourage people that, hey, this is legitimate. These different mountains and expressions of Father's heart and the kingdom is legitimate. And so don't be double-minded any longer, or feel like, well, if my ministry doesn't look like ministry inside of the church expression or the gathering expression, it's second rate. And therefore I desire still, this is bringing me life. I feel excitement here. I feel Father leading me here, but maybe there's something better that I need to try to attain, and then you're stuck. And so I'd rather have you, I want to see you people empowered to walk in faith,
Right.
Full faith,
Right.
conviction,
Yeah.
confidence, knowing that this is who I am. You know, this is the dreams and passions Father has put in me. This is the place He's calling me to impact, to release His heart and His kingdom. Yeah. And, you know, this is my style, my personality, the way I show up in here, the way I serve the world, the way, you know, I create in my individual style in the space. And
I also think like that there is multiple, you know, you don't have to go away from one and go to the other. Like even with the mountains, you just need to watch that you don't you unbox yourself from one and you box yourself into another, please. And you're like, well, what am I called to, or which one? And then you get so focused. I think it's truly all the things you said of just the way you're wired, what you're called, your passions inside. They're all there for a reason. He created you that way for a reason to impact and to just, you know, there can be an end. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Right.
But then don't be focused on like, okay, well, what are the multiple and what do we, you know, just being who you are authentically, what you feel inside, and to give yourself to that.
Yeah, so two sides to that.
Understand that.
With the explaining the mountains and things, and personality, I'm always saying this is not a box to box yourself in, but both of these rather a platform from which you can be propelled from or grow from or expand from. But to go with that then, if you can be intentional about things, you can see greater results. Mm-hmm. So don't box yourself in, don't over-evaluate, you know, but do explore and say, you know, this mountain or area I feel called to have influence or impact in is legitimate. Therefore, let me be intentional to receive, you know, instruction, strategy, solutions, ways of expression that Father wants to show in my area of influence, no matter what mountain that is, and show up in that and serve that and grow in my influence in that area. Because again, that's with the double-minded. That takes away intention, because you're like, well, I should be here. I should be here. Well, I don't know. I don't know. And so you're back and forth. And then people who don't have the value system of heaven aren't double-minded. They're like, I'm all in this business realm and I'm going to go and get it. And they get it. Yeah. And they influence and they shape and change the way systems operate, and people are treated and valued and worked with in this area. And then we're stuck, you know, double-minded. I don't know, and we're not having any impact. So
and
don't
that is a distraction on its own, because then ultimately nothing gets touched, nothing gets changed, nothing gets influenced, and that's ultimately, you know, what the enemy wants, to have you just like you can't figure it out. And here you're just, you know, but to focus and to give yourself to it, I think that's a really, and sticking with it, you know.
The enemy you wants, or you become your own worst enemy.
Wow, also. But I'm saying ultimately.
Because we end up messing ourselves up, and it's our thought process.
All in here,
That's the only place where, you know, the enemy, Satan, is a liar. And so all he wants to do is impact your thought process, you know, the thoughts, and shift that. And if you can just become clear. So again, don't box yourself in. Use all this as a platform to build, but be intentional. Embrace it. Like, move in faith, seeing tomorrow like it's a reality today, and walking in that. Seeing your influence, the reality of your impact, how it can shift and change lives, how it can change culture. So then if I say, how does the apostolic look in all the mountains, you were talking about building, getting your hands dirty, and that's not necessarily exciting for you because you're an ideas person, you're a communicator. Well, I don't think.
But I do like seeing result, though.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stand it.
Again, that's part of your personality style and part of the greatness you bring to the world. Yeah. But I think in the concept of building and the apostolic, it's it's a grace, it's an anointing,
Right.
on people, but it doesn't mean practically building. It doesn't always mean getting your hands busy. It means more being of the heart and the mindset of building forward. Of exist rather than just popping in and out of these areas of culture. I think the apostolic puts the heart and the desire and the ability to build, to be established in.
To be established, yeah.
So for you, you're this,
really cool.
your personality, you like to communicate, you like to advance and be enthusiastic and all this stuff. And you may say, hey, part of the mountains I like to be in is arts and entertainment, which is, this fun expression or this release of, just creativity or whatever. Well, it doesn't mean you have to go and build something big there, but it means that, hey, I will establish myself in this place. I won't just visit it and pop in and pop out and think that will change culture, right? So the apostolic in all the mountains brings the conviction, hey, we must shift this. We must be a positive influence in the world, not remove ourselves.
Right, absolutely.
Right? Not shrink back because we think it's dark. But no, this is our place.
Right.
Actually, it was meant to be light and life. It was distorted. And so we just bring back original intent. We bring back light. We show up as light. And we just eliminate the darkness, right? And we stay here. And, the church likes to quote the scripture about the children of Israel, that wherever the sole of your feet will tread, I've given this land to you, right? As they were stepping into the promised land. And when I looked at that a couple years ago and talked about the sole of your feet, it actually meant where you would walk through like a grassy field, not once or twice, but you walked it so often you wore the path in it. So we're not just popping up like a one-time walk through the grassy field. Hey, I'm here. No, but it's, you frequent it enough, you're in and out, you're involved, you're giving yourself to where you wore a path in it. And that's what was said to be given to the children of Israel. And so the apostolic to me is saying, hey, you are not necessarily having to build practically, but you know that I need to be involved here. I need to operate in this space. I need to show up to where there's a shift and a change.
But that also makes me think of that you forge a path that wasn't there yet, and that's where that pioneer and bringing something that is not yet or is not yet seen, and so that forging a path on its own is something not easy, it's not, you might not see it around, and that's probably why you're the one having that grace or that anointing, and as you frequent and establish, that path now becomes a path, and then other people can walk over it.
Other people can walk on it, true.
Pretty cool.
So,
I like that's powerful.
My hope is that people will use that and press in and say, okay, what is something that needs to be established or reestablished or reawakened here in my sphere of influence, in my mountain? What do I build my consistency? What's the heart of the Father for this? And begin, not it's so evil and dark and reject it. No, you're a transformational piece. Right. You're light and hope. Your life. You're the love of Father. Like, you're all that. And so take that in everything.
And then maybe you're, by personality, you're not someone to come up with the idea or to create something that hasn't been done or whatever. But how powerful would it be if you go into something and bring your gifts and talents and your passions that you're passionate about, and the heart of the Father through you into that space and changing it in that way. I mean, wow, that's, you don't have to always be the one to.
You don't have to be the initiator.
No, initiator.
You don't have to be the creator. Yeah. You don't have to be the driver.
No.
Definitely use your individual style and personality and strengths. Yeah. And, you know, we all will have a little bit different meaning of and success. Not in, you know, again, that's your own definition of success in life. But for you, showing up every day and being able to communicate, advance ideas, connect with people, you know, motivate, that's success for you. That's not necessarily success for me. Yeah. Give me a bunch of information, details. Let me strategize how we're going to cause change, how we can impact something. Yeah. That's more my jam. But, you know, showing up in your area. Yeah. For sure, and in your style and saying, hey, what does this look like? But I think the apostolic, again, in the heart of the believer, is saying, it's creating a value system for the culture of heaven, for pressing in. Yeah. What is Father's heart? What does it look like? What is original intent? And then therefore, you know, for the corporate body, the ecclesia expressing outward into the world, the kingdom is like, hey, all right, now how do we build, establish, pioneer, shift culture? Again, and not by dominating and dictating, but by the very way that Yeshua showed up and served so well, loved so well. You know, bring ideas that just blow people's minds. And because you're intentional and listen to Father and what He's saying in that. Or you're praying about areas. You're owning your space. Yeah. You're walking a path. Right. You know, not just walking in one day. It's like walking out, but you're wearing a path, and you're giving yourself to it and say, I can embrace this. This is the call of God. You know, this is a legitimate place in His kingdom.
Yeah. And then change will come. You know, I think there has been, or is, you do see change, but in a general sense, a disconnect when you look at areas, at nations, at cities, at towns, and you don't see the change that you would like to see happen. Yet there are so many believers in that place, you know. Well, surely there should be change happening. Now, change doesn't always mean on a big scale. So that's why I'm saying
you can feel overwhelmed looking at it and be like, well, how do I change? Well, start with where you're at.
But it starts somewhere, and it starts in very small spaces where you can have a voice and an impact. But I think that if we keep seeing the things that we don't see change, it starts with us, you know, and
so just start, you know, the way you see Father, the way you know His love. Begin to express that wherever you find, and then let Him give you solutions or ideas. It may not be a product or practical thing. It may be a different way to communicate or something to communicate for those of you who are the advancer style and you're communicative, or you know, maybe another way to deal with people or a certain situation and environment. Hey, what can I do here? And just to your thing, as we wrap up, it was Chris Valentin, I think, that had this research, and his team came up with this statistic or whatever, that they found that the highest, the cities with the highest church attendance had the worst. You know, in the families staying together, in poverty, like they were the worst. And you know, he tells the story. He was like, what's going on? Because we are supposed to be the transformation. We're supposed to be answers and light. But where there's the highest church attendance, we have the worst life.
And that
for
should
people.
Be like that.
And people are valuable in the kingdom. So let's bring the upgrades for life. And, you know, it takes just a small percentage actually to shift and change things. It's not the majority is what shifts. It's only, I think if Malcolm Gladwell says that if you have 5 to 7% of people shift, that's what shifts the whole, the nation or city as a whole. And so, yeah, you may feel like, hey, I'm small, I'm just this one person in the company, or whatever. Well, just show up.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like maybe
then,
not on a bigger scale, you're not seeing stuff, but it starts somewhere. It starts small, and it can become big. But you on your own and together even more. But you can make a difference.
Right.
And like you said, sometimes it may be overwhelming, but you can make a difference, and it does start with you.
Be full of hope and purpose, and knowing that you are set today. You know, whether you're like, life didn't go the way I wanted it, or I'm not where I want to be yet, or whatever. Well, do you trust that Father works all things for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose? So today, maybe look and say, where I'm at right now, it may not be how I wanted it to go, and it may not even be Father who made circumstances and situations come up, right? Because there could be some tough times and things, or whatever. And I'm not saying Father gave that to you, but know that He can turn it for good. So embrace that place and say, hey, let me, just step into the fullness of what God has for me here today, now. Impact love well where I'm at, and then go from there and just own that. And so, I hope you're empowered today to be intentional, to walk with that apostolic grace, to bring culture, and then begin to collaborate. Find people within your mountain and outside of your mountain, kingdom-minded people, and say, hey, how can we get ideas together? How can we work together to bring real solutions to my town, to my city, to my workplace, whatever it is, and not just I need to do it all myself, or I'm in the business mountain and let's just cheer each other along, but let's connect and just collaborate.
Yeah, we can talk about that next time, because I have like 5 more things I could say about that.
We need to wrap it up.
But we ran out of time.
Next time, though, we are going to be jumping into family and relationships.
Oh, already? Oh, because it's the next month.
Okay. We'll
all right,
be a little more focused, but we'll talk more about this.
Yes, you are awesome.
Yes.
We celebrate you.
Cheers to you.
Have an awesome day.
Enjoy.